without further ado, Simon Smithson.
Yeah, thanks, so. So these started off as letters that I wrote when Janine Garofalo was in town for the Melbourne Comedy Festival. They were letters that I wrote in a public magazine in an attempt to convince her to sleep with me. And the piece is titled, The Letters I Wrote to Janine Garofalo That Did Not Convince Her to Sleep With Me. There's two of them. Dear Janine Garofalo, I was delighted to hear you're attending this year's Melbourne Comedy Festival this year, as, deep in the burning and well-dressed depths of my soul, there is a question I need answered. And I think you are the person to answer it, and that question is this. When am I going to have sex with Janine Garofalo? You see, Janine Garofalo, I have so very many reasons for wanting to sleep with you. For a start, I need an American connection to help catapult my collection of stories about Hollywood actress Clea Duvall having superpowers into publication and, subsequently, into the annals of publishing history. And I think our sensual pairing, yours and mine, Janine Garofalo, not Clea Duvall's and mine, unless she is at the comedy festival too, would be a great icebreaker, or at least a great good cure for those moments of silence at dinner parties. Well, I'll say, chuckling heartily, possibly over the canapes, it certainly wasn't this quiet when Janine Garofalo was dislocating my ribs while we were having sex. You needn't worry about a thing, Janine Garofalo. I've been going to the gym for some time now, and I'm not like those skinny writers, or actors, or firemen of your acquaintance. No. No, you will thrill to the touch of my manly biceps and impressive shoulders. And you will most likely want to take some time during that period normally reserved for pillow talk to admire the steely lines of my forearms, thighs, and jaw. You will also be astounded by my skills as a lover, especially as I sexily whisper, I haven't enjoyed myself this much since 1997's The Matchmaker, in your ear mid-coitus. You'll like me, Janine Garofalo. I listen to David Cross's comedy albums. I'm above average height. I've lived in San Francisco, and mark my words, I shall live in San Francisco once more. Also, I watch W. And I will cook for you, Janine Garofalo. And I don't just mean I'll serve you up a delicious 3-course meal of hotel room deposit voiding sex, although that certainly will be on the menu. No. I will find you only the most delicate pastas, the most sensuous garlic breads, and the least virginal virgin olive oils, and I will prepare you a feast. I'm not a particularly competent chef, so it's not going to be very good. What I possess in attractive musculature, I lack in culinary prowess, so, due warning. The good people at Beat Magazine have my number, Janine Garofalo. Feel free to dispatch one of your flunkies to collect my contact details. The editors give them out all the time anyway. Often over the 6th or 7th Harvey Wallbanger has glazed their eyes over lunch. Their French drug dealer has crawled up through the secret hatch in the floor, cupping up dust and cobwebs and burying the day's shipment of finest Scandinavian bronze. And someone has, once again, put Eagles of Death Metal on the office sound system with the cry, hey everyone, let's all have sex to this. Let's all have sex to this indeed, Janine Garofalo. Let's all have sex to this indeed. Yours, Simon Smithson. So Janine Garofalo called the maid officers, and she didn't get my email address, nor did she ask for my phone number, and so I wrote her a second letter. Dear Janine Garofalo, I find myself looking at the calendar with some alarm. As near as I can figure it, you will only be in town for a few more days, which is barely enough time for you to fully appreciate the level of toning that I brought to my glutes. And let me tell you, Janine Garofalo, I have not merely focused on my glutimus maximus. Both my gluteus minimus and my gluteus medius have received exquisite care, and you will be impressed. Our window is closing and closing fast, especially as you have shows to do, and I'm going to be devoting some fairly solid blocks of time to catching up on Supernatural. It has been a cold, hard week for me, Janine Garofalo, although not quite so hard as my glutes, a fact which has provided me with some small comfort. My strong arms yearn to hold a liberal American comedienne, and both you and Amy Sedaris seem so very far away. Every morning when I wake up and look over and you are not sleeping, sated and satisfied beside me, is a morning when the world seems a little grayer, and I am quick to let whoever is sleeping there know just how disappointed I am. Because it's not just about your fame, Janine Garofalo. It's not just about your willingness to take on the American conservative movement. And it's not just about your wit, or your verve, or your role as the bowler in Mystery Men. No, it's also about the sex. And if the blogs I write about my own performance in the bedroom are anything to go by, Then let me assure you that I'm pretty good. 1 second we'll be making conversation, quite possibly about how handsome I am. And the next, well, let's just say that I will be bringing at least one soul coughing album, and maybe more. Although they only released 3. Perhaps you are worried that I'm only using you to get to Keith Sutherland, Janine Garofalo. Let me assure you, nothing could be further from the truth. The sacred moments that we share in your hotel room after the sun has gone down and the cool darkness winds around us will be for you and I alone. Although I probably will accidentally leave behind a couple of unpublished manuscripts in your suitcase. Feel free to read said unpublished manuscripts on your long flight back home, Janine Garofalo. I have learned from bitter experience just how arduous that flight can be. And I know that I myself spent much of it thinking to myself, Jesus Christ, I wish I had something written by a handsome Australian writer who had shown me hours of passionate attentiveness and dutifully followed my every instruction, as well as bringing some surprisingly spontaneous maneuvers of his own to the table to read right now. I'd spare you that pain, Janine Garofalo, if I could. And the best part is I can, with gusto. I'm taking instruction from late 80s supernatural comedy hunk, Janine Garofalo. I've been reading nothing but Hemingway and occasionally The Far Side. I've been eating protein bars and oysters and brutally undertipping waiters if they offer me anything but Gatorade to drink. Like Obama's stimulus package, I'm ready to roundhouse punch my way to victory, although I'm not entirely sure what that analogy means. All the protein and zinc supplements I've been consuming have left me feeling a little dazed. I yearn for you tragically. Simon Smithson. Thank you.